Hello, greetings everybody. Welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here Monday nights look back at a classic rock album. I've chosen this one for this week, Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't so easy to do back then. I don't know. Anyways, Steely Dan's first debut album. Really good. I actually thought I had done another classic, look back at a classic rock album on another Steely Dan, but apparently this is the first time I've done one, so I will stick with that. This album, I'll give you the vitals on it first. So it was released in November of 1972 at the Village Recorder. It was recorded at the Village Recorder in Los Angeles, California. 40 minutes, almost 41 minutes in length on the ABC label and produced by Gary Katz. Okay, so then you have basically a fair lengthy amount of people appearing on this album, but I'll give you the band members first. So you've got Jeff Skunk Baxter on guitar, pedal steel guitar, and spoken Spanish. So there's some talking parts in here, and he does that. Walter Becker, of course, on bass and co-lead vocal and backing vocals. Denny Diaz on guitar and electric sitar. Donald Fagen, of course, on piano, electric piano, lead vocals, and backing vocals. Jim Hodder, or Hodder, I think it's Hodder, actually. Drums, percussion, lead and backing vocals. And then David Palmer on lead vocals, co-lead vocals, and backing vocals. So you got like four guys singing on here. I actually found their voices are fairly similar. One guy's a bit higher than the others, and I think one guy's a little bit lower than the other ones. But overall, they don't sound too completely dissimilar to me anyways. But then I'm still fairly new to the band. This is probably the fourth album I've had that's been on my playlist by them, including Asia, Katie Lied, and Pretzel Logic, which was the first one I did. I actually thought I did a video on that one, but I didn't, so maybe that'll be something I do in the near future. Also appearing on this album, on different tracks, like they're not fully on all the tracks. They play little spots here and there on different tracks. So we've got Elliot Randall, lead guitar, Victor Feldman on percussion, Jerome Richardson on tenor sax, Snooky Young on on the flugelhorn. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. And then you got Clyde King, Sherry Lee Matthews, and Vanetta. I think it's Vanetta Fields on backing vocals on some tracks as well. So this is a pretty solid album. When I first heard it, of course, I knew the tracks on here that were sort of radio friendly. Well, not sort of radio friendly. They were absolutely radio friendly, well-known tracks. And that got me interested in the album right away. But then, I've come to love every track on this album. There's just nothing but catchiness on this album. One of the most catchy albums I've ever listened to. So Do It Again, of course, we all know that track. I'm going to put some notes I have up here just in case I have to refer to them. So, yeah, Do It Again. It starts up with that kind of Latin feel to it, that song. It's got that kind of rhythm that you'd get from Latin music in there, and it's has that iconic keyboard part in it at the beginning as well. Really catchy beat as well. Really good song. I love it. And then you've got Dirty Work, which I think was initially my favorite track on the album after the Do It Again and Reelin' in the Years, which were the two most known ones to me. But this one here was the first one that I hadn't heard before that I really liked a lot. It's got that organ part at the beginning, which I like. The lyrics are really good, telling about a story about a guy who's involved with a woman, and when her husband leaves town, he kind of comes in and does the job, so to speak, and not really feeling that great about it, but playing the second fiddle, I guess, is the way it comes across. And the sax parts on this are really good as well. Then you got Kings, which is the next track on here. Piano was really good, opening piano. Another really catchy song, telling the story about good King Richard, good King John and King Richard. So kind of telling the story. Those two characters, if you're not familiar with, are from Robin Hood. King Richard is the good king who's off fighting the Crusades, and King John is watching over the empire for him while he's away, and he's not that good of a king, really. So it's kind of a play on words, I guess. I'm not sure how you want to call it, but it's a great song. I love it. Then you got Midnight Cruiser. Some excellent piano on this track. Real catchy harmonica. Real catchy harmony-driven, that's what I'm trying to say, track. Lots of good vocals on this. And this is the one you talk a little bit about Phionius. I like the lyrics on Steely Dan. They're always telling these kind of quirky stories, which are interesting. And that, I hate to say it, but I'm really kind of driven by lyrics in a lot of cases. Sometimes I don't really want to listen to a song, but the lyrics will make me pay attention because I want to hear what he's saying, and the next thing I know, I like the song. And Steely Dan's really good for that. Only a Fool would say that another great vocal track. I like this track a lot too. Of course, Reeling in the Years, which is the big track on the album. Reeling in the Years. Yeah, just such a catchy track. Probably the best track at this point for me on this album. Still kind of the best track, even though it's well played. For me, it's new. It's not new, but it's not overly played for me because I stopped listening to the radio long before I got into this group. So for me, it's great because I can listen to this stuff. It's fresh to me. It doesn't bother me. Fire in the Hole, nice piano opening. Nice kind of a bluesy track, I think. A little bit of a bluesy feel to it, but it's a good track. Brooklyn. This is kind of a country-ish feel to it. For me, it's probably the weakest track on the album. I don't dislike it at all. Like, I don't feel any kind of animosity or skip over it or anything like that. It's just, to me, it's not the best of tracks on the album. Changing of the Guard, or Change of the Guard. Nice guitar part. It's kind of a different part, too. It's not your standard kind of guitar part you might hear in a lot of radio-friendly songs. There's a catchy beat to it. The track is good. It's a really, really solid track. And then you have the final track on the album, which is Turn the Heart Over Again. I think that's what it's called. Sorry. I was thinking of something else. Turn That Heartbeat Over Again. The last track on here. This is a track that feels a little bit on the jazzy side. Has a little bit of a jazzy feel to it. Good harmonies, of course. And I like the part about love the mother, love your brother, love them like there is no other. Yeah, and really, really good storytellers and really know how to put words together to intrigue you, this band. And unfortunately, I think this was correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was the only album where these guys all played together, and then people started leaving, and eventually it became the Walter Becker, Donald Fagen show. And then they just basically had all kinds of session musicians after that. But this one was the original first album. Really good album. Solid. Probably going to end up being my favorite of their albums. It's on my playlist now. No sign of it coming off anytime soon. I think it's a great album. It's been my favorite album at points in time since it's been on there too. So, yeah, love it. It's well worth taking your time. You want to enter Steely Dan, get into Steely Dan. Maybe you know the stuff on the radio, maybe you don't. Maybe you've heard of the band, maybe you haven't. And then, you're thinking, I'd like to try these guys out. This is a good first album because it has a couple of radio-friendly tracks on it to kind of melt you in. And then once you get listening to this, you'll love the whole album if you like this kind of music. And I never thought I did, but I've discovered that I do, and this is the band that I like to go to quite a bit. So there you have it, Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. Or maybe you can. Anyways, please hit the like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. Hit the any comments about the album that you want to make. You can put those down below. What's your experience with some of this Steely Dan stuff? And, you know, if you know any little bit of history about them, that would be nice too. I only basically have just what I've read, and I don't really hear too much about it, but I'd like to know a little bit more about the band. So if anybody's got anything they want to write down there, I'll be more than willing to read up on it. Anyways, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of this content, and we'll see you next Monday night for another look back at another classic rock album. So have yourself a good night. Take care. Goodbye.